All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Hope that you are having a good start to your weekend. I am going to talk for the next hour, maybe 45 minutes. Actually, today's presentation will be a little shorter, and we are going to go through the different training options that we have at Stockscores. I will explain what's included in the different courses, show you the processes, that sort of thing. So, as I said, we'll probably, depending on questions, be done in 45 minutes or so. So the itinerary for today is I'll give you a little bit of my background, how I came to be teaching people how to trade. I've been teaching people how to trade for about 20 years. I've been trading for about 30 years. Why you should get educated, the benefits of doing that. I will show you the Stockscores tools. I will give you a tour of the online Stockscores Education Center. We'll talk about the investor course, the active trader course, and then I'll give you a little bit of my outlook on the market, since the volatile market has everyone a little bit concerned, I would guess. So we'll do that right at the end. All right, so let's get into the presentation, beginning with my background in teaching. So as I said, I started teaching about 20 years ago. I was at a trader trade show, and there was companies that were selling their education and tools and things like that. And I realized that they didn't really know what they were talking about, but they were good marketers. And I felt like I could do a better job of teaching people. And I've always enjoyed public speaking and teaching, and it was, I guess, something that I could do to give back a little bit. So I started the Stockscores website in 1999. It was up and running early in 2000, and we started teaching people, I believe, in just late 2000, early 2001. And it was very regional to begin with. I just sort of taught people in the city that I lived in, and then started to branch out into some of the nearby cities. I live in Western Canada. And now we teach people all over the world, or when I say we, it's really me. I'm the teacher. Obviously, Stockscores has people that keep everything running and up and going, but I'm the only person who does the teaching. And as I said, we now have students all over the place. It's actually kind of neat that I can teach someone in India or in the UK or in the city where I live. With the technology that we have today, we're all able to learn the same way. Who do I teach? I teach mostly retail investors. However, I also have been hired by brokerages to teach their staff. I have been hired. I spent a number of years traveling around teaching the clients of brokerages. Different brokerages would hire me to teach their clients. And I've also taught a few institutional traders, those large traders. For example, one guy was managing $300 million, and I taught him my methods as well. So again, most of my students are just regular people trying to manage their retirement portfolio. Perhaps they have aspirations of being a professional day trader. And so that's what most of my students are, but I've taught all range of experiences. It doesn't matter if you know nothing about the stock market, I can teach you. And it doesn't matter if you have been investing or professionally trading the stock market for 20 years, there's probably some things that I can provide to you that will give you value as well. So why would you want to get educated? I taught myself how to trade. It's a long road. I spent 8 years learning, teaching myself before I was anywhere near successful. And the simple fact is, stock trading is simple, but it is not easy. And the market's kind of cruel because it gives you the test first and the lesson second. And I paid a lot of lessons. I paid a lot of tuition to Stock Market University just in losses that I took as I was learning how to trade. And I've got loads of experience from essentially making all of the mistakes that everyone else makes. I've made them all. I still make mistakes, and I learn from them, and I can pass on those lessons to you. I think it's important to recognize that I do this every day. I've been trading for 30 years, and there's very few days that I'm not in front of a screen watching the market. And so there's a lot of benefit that comes from having looked into a computer screen for 30 years, pretty much all day, and you just start to see things just from experience. And I can pass on those lessons to you. I think another thing is when you're learning, it's a big part of what holds people back is confidence, and having someone to give them support through the learning process really helps them find success, because you may have some great intuition, but if you don't have someone to sort of bounce ideas off of, um, you can maybe have a great idea that you never pursue because you just aren't sure if it's going to work. And when we're talking about risking money in the market, it's especially difficult because we all have that emotional attachment to money. Now, when I started trading, it was a great time to be a trader. There was lots of volatility. There was lots of action. I think about sort of the best time that I can recall trading was 1999 into early 2000. We just had so much action. And then it kind of got a little tougher for a number of years because first of all, we had a bear market after the tech bubble burst. Then we had another one in 2008. So it taught a whole new set of lessons. We've also had computers really have an influence in the market. Exchange traded funds have had a real influence in the market. And so it's really been essential to evolve my approach. Although the core ideas are actually no different today than they were 20 years ago, I've had to really evolve the approach and get more focused on more sophisticated tools than I used to. I used to not really use any tools. I would sort of get real-time price quotes and maybe charts, but nowadays, especially with short-term trading, day trading, it's become quite important to have powerful tools, and I'll show you some of those tools as well. Right now is again a great time to be a trader because there's lots of volatility, we've got lots of action, we've got lots of emotion, and if you've ever thought about a good time to learn and get into this business, then now is the time, because I think there is great opportunity that have come from the crash. Even though the crash has been devastating to a lot of people's retirement portfolios, there is a lot of opportunity to make money right now because fear and greed have a real effect on how stocks are priced, and it creates opportunity. So I think that, again, if you ever wanted to learn, now's the time. So what do you need in order to succeed either as an investor or as a trader? Well, first of all, you need to know what to look for. That's where I can help you. I will show you the Stockscores Education Center in a moment. You also need tools to find opportunities. And so if you are a longer term investor, you would use my market scan tool. If you are a shorter term day or swing trader, then you're going to use perhaps my active live service where you can watch my analysis screen. I use something called TradeStation, which is a great program. It's probably more sophisticated than most people need. It's great for developing trading strategies, and I will help you with TradeStation if you are a more technical person and you want to use it, but you don't have to with my approach. We have other services available that can help you with that, but I also help my students with TradeStation, those who want to use it. And that's really where I think support is important. As you're learning, it takes most people, some time. You're not going to learn this overnight. And I'm there to help you as you go through that process. So that's something I provide to my students. I don't teach a lot of people. I teach maybe 100 people a year. And because that's a small number of students, I can provide a much more personalized level of service. And I think most of my customers will attest to the fact that when they email me, they get an answer pretty quickly and pretty reliably. And that's, what I do for my students. I can't do it for everyone. I have thousands of people who watch my videos and read my books and things like that. And just realistically, I just don't have the time. I try to help everyone with some of the free videos that I put up on YouTube. But if you want that one-on-one, more personalized support, you do have to be one of my students. And then the one other thing that you need to bring is that last bullet. You need to have capital discipline and you need to do the work. I can tell you how to do well in the market, but you have to do the work. You have to have the discipline to follow my rules. And of course, you have to have capital. Now, I actually want to stress that when you are starting out in trading, I actually don't want you to trade with real money. I want you to learn first. And if you can take the time to learn and practice for a little while and not take any financial risk, then you're actually going to be a better trader in the long run because you will keep your emotions out of it. You will build confidence and build your skills while sort of taking that emotional attachment to money out of the equation. So I always encourage my students to start slow, start by paper trading. And once you're good on paper, then start with a small amount of risk on each trade, perhaps $50 per trade. That's how much you are risking to lose. And slowly leverage up your risk. And as you gain experience and practice and success, you can obviously get up there. And I don't care if you've got $1,000 to trade with or $1 million to trade with, everyone should go through the process the same way. Start slow, build confidence, build success. So what is the Stockscores Education Center? So what we have done is taken what I used to teach in a classroom, because when I started teaching, I taught in a classroom. We also had CD-ROMs. Does anyone remember those? And DVDs. We had actually VHS tapes at one point, a long time ago. But now it's all online, and the beauty of the internet is I can put this stuff up on the internet. I can change it when it needs to be changed. If I want to update it, I can do that, and everybody gets those updates. And the nice thing is someone that took my course 20 years ago has access to all of the latest online education that is on the Stockscores website. And so in the Stockscores Education Center, which I will show you in a moment, we have basically 3 functional areas. The foundation area is where we teach theory, written component, the videos, we have assignments and tests. And then in the investor section, I teach you my investor strategies. And by investor strategies, I mean those longer term strategies where you are buying today and maybe holding for months, even years in some occasions. So it doesn't take as much time and is really more the longer term approach that someone might do in their retirement portfolio. And then we have the active trader section where you learn my active trader strategies for buying and selling, short selling, and that is often referred to as day trading, also swing trading, where we're holding stocks for a couple of days to maybe a couple of weeks, which we've been doing a lot lately because there's been some great action in that area. Day trading has been great as well. And it's all online. So let me show you that. Just jump over to the Stockscores website. I'm going to go into the Education Center. Now, the Education Center is mostly member only. If you are not a member, you can see here this stuff is free. And that is, I've created maybe a dozen videos there where you can learn some of the basics of charting, of how to use the Stockscores website, how the market scan tool works, a general tour of the Stockscores website. So there's lots of videos there where you can take a look at that. Then we have the foundation area. And so, for example, if you wanted to learn what chart patterns are, how to read them, there is a written lesson that goes through these 6 elements of chart patterns. You can see there what they are. And then there is a video where I explain it to you. And this particular video is 30 minutes long. Most of the videos are around this length. Some are a little shorter. A couple of them are a little bit longer, but generally speaking, they're around that length. And you can watch these on your iPad, your phone, your computer. As long as you have an internet connection and a browser, this will all work. So it's very convenient. You can watch them anywhere. And I basically walk you through the different concepts. And you can watch them as many times as you want. There's no limit. If you took my course 10 years ago, you can watch these today. If you take my course tomorrow, if you register for my course tomorrow, you will have access to all of this material instantly. It's all automated. Then we have the investor section, which is our strategies and a little bit of support material for that. So also the exit strategy. So for one example, my favorite longer term strategy is the abnormal breaks. This particular strategy looks for stocks making abnormal price moves with some strong volume support. The concept is explained here, and there's lots of charts and things like that on this screen. And again, there is a video. You can print this out if you'd rather look at it on paper. We have a printed option as well. And so it's convenient, and that's the best thing about it. And again, if I wanted to update this, I can update it, and every one of my past students and future students will have that update. It's all instantly available online. And then the final section is the active trader section, which again has my swing and day trading strategies. And you can see there's a swing trading strategy. There is the exit rules, different ways to exit. But because day trading can also use a software program called TradeStation, which is what I use. And again, I don't have any ownership interest in TradeStation. They don't pay me to say this. I just use it, and I've used it for 20 years, actually probably longer. So I also teach you how to use TradeStation in the context of my approach. I want to emphasize again, though, that you do not have to use TradeStation. I'm going to show you a service that we offer called Active Live, where you can watch my TradeStation screen while I'm doing my analysis. It's a webinar. I do it every day, every trading day, and I walk you through. I'll talk about that a little bit more detail. But many of my students do use TradeStation, and so I provide my core indicators, my action candle indicator. I've got a trend line indicator. Different things that we use in our trading decisions are provided to my active trader students. And if you want to learn the basics of how I use TradeStation, it's all here, online written component, plus of course there is a video as well. All right, so that's a little tour of the Education Center. Now I'm going to give you a little tour of the Stockscores tools. Now the tools that I'm going to show you initially are mostly for investors, not for day traders. So for example, if we run into the Market Scan tool and go to the Market Scan, I can run a scan based on one of the strategies. So I could run the abnormal breaks scan, which looks for stocks making abnormal moves. It's one of my core strategies for investing. And I can choose to run that on the Canadian market or the US markets. And I know we have people in this webinar today, perhaps from all over the world. Currently, we only cover North American markets. You can take these concepts and apply them to any market, whether in Europe, Asia, Australia, wherever. The methods will work, but you'll have to find another way to find the opportunities because we currently only cover North American markets. All right, so if I wanted to run this on the Canadian market, then let's actually go in search of opportunities. So I'm going to click on Run Market Scan, and you can see almost instantly it went through every stock that trades on the Canadian market, and it found 4 that meet the criteria, the basic criteria of that strategy. Now we still need to inspect their charts for what I will teach you to look for. So I'm going to do that now. And I'm looking for very specific things on these charts. This particular stock gave me a good buy signal back here, but it is not ideal now because it's coming into this downward trend line where it'll probably get stuck. Again, these are things that I can teach you what to look for, but that's a basic concept. Now, if you've been watching some of my YouTube videos in the last few weeks, you will know that I've talked about a crash reversal pattern. The crash reversal pattern looks for a strong downward trend, looks for the break of a downward trend from a rising bottom, and that's why I circle right there as the entry point, which was at about $8.50, and now it's at about $11.50. So that one strategy worked well on Sierra Wireless, but it is too late now for that stock. So let's move on to the next one. This one looks interesting. This is Finning. You can see the sharp downward trend because of the crash. We have been building a rising bottom. We are now breaking the rising bottom from a break of the trend line. You can see volume picking up. So this looks pretty good as a candidate for a bargain hunt. It is not something where I would buy it with the expectation that I'm going to sell it in 2 days. You will need to probably hold this for weeks, months. This is a longer term strategy. It is something that is working well to find those bargains in the market. And I think this is one. FTT looks pretty good. I will continue along. Here's another one that I like. So you can see here the downward trend line, rising bottoms, and we broke the downward trend line on Friday from a rising bottom. So that looks pretty good. Some things to think about. It will probably stall here at around 22 because that's some resistance, and perhaps here. But ultimately, in the weeks and months ahead, I think it can get back into that $26, $27 range. It's at 19 now. Now, we always want to practice good risk management because not every trade will work. So if I'm buying it here at roughly 19.5, I would plan to sell it if it closes below 17. And so that is what we call our risk of the trade. And if you want more information on that kind of stuff, take a look at some of the recent lessons that I did. I have posted them on YouTube. One is called How to Day Trade the Stock Market Profitably, and the other is called How to Invest in the Stock Market Profitably. And I talked about this risk management concept and that sort of thing. All right, so that's how we run the market scans. I can run it on the US market as well. I can go back in. This time I can select the abnormal breaks US, run the scan. This is all real time. I'm doing this live. It's not some canned presentation, and you can see that it's very fast. And instead of looking at the charts one at a time, this time I chose to run them in gallery view. And so I can look through these charts 10 per page. If I see something that looks interesting, I can click on it. I can say, okay, there's that downward trend line. There's the rising bottom, and I broke from a rising bottom on Friday. Looks pretty good. One knock against this particular setup is it doesn't have very strong volume. The volume isn't spiking higher, so it's good, but it's not great. And so I can continue along looking for others. Here's another one that's got that crash reversal pattern. Here's a stock that was a good day trader on Friday. But again, we don't typically use this tool for day trading. Now, we do have scans to help us build day trading lists, but we still need our real-time charting program. And again, there's other better ways to day trade. I'll show you those in a moment. We have swing trading strategies as well. If you go into the active trader scans, you can see there's a few swing trading strategies. You will see that there is one there called day trader, and it's okay to use if you're willing to miss the opening hour of trading. And so it's a way to apply one of my strategies, which is called a superhero, and we can use the day trader scan for that. But I really emphasize that it's best to use a real-time charting program or my active live service. So either using TradeStation. Other programs are things like TC2000, TradingView, Ninja Trader is one that many students use. There's lots of options. My favorite, of course, is TradeStation. Now, we also have charting tools on Stockscores, so you can pull up any chart. Just punch in the symbol. MSFT is Microsoft. There's the chart. If you want to change the time frame, we have these fast links at the top. So I can make this a 3-year chart. I can make this a 10-day chart. I can change it to a 10-day, 13-minute chart. I can make it a 2-minute chart. I can make it a 60-minute chart. Lots of flexibility with this tool. If you want to look at Canadian stocks, you have to put a prefix before the symbol. So if I wanted to look at Bank of Montreal, I'm going to put in T.BMO. This is a stock that I featured in my 8 stocks to buy for the market comeback, and I still believe that this is a good one. It's actually gone down a little bit in the last few days, so I think it's an even better bargain. But I think ultimately, if we look out a couple of months, a few months, the stock should be higher, but it'll have some volatility along the way as the market deals with the reality of the crash that we've gone through. All right, so that's one of the charting tools. There are others, and if we go to the charting menu, you can see we have something called a sector watch, a watch list creator, a portfolio creator, different viewers, risk calculators, they're all there. The risk calculator is how we can help us define our position size. So if I'm buying a stock at 1950 and I plan to take a loss at 1750, which is where my stop loss point is, and I don't want to lose more than, say, $100 on the trade, and I pay $10 in commissions, I can click on submit, and it will come back and tell me that my position size should be 45 shares. We can also use the other side of this tool to calculate the risk-reward ratio. We talked about that ratio in some of my previous videos, and so I won't go into that today, but that's another tool that's available to my Stockscores members to use. All right, so moving along, we finally have the trader tools for the more active trader. So we have my indicators for TradeStation. So TradeStation is a program that you can subscribe to. Again, it has nothing to do with me, but I do provide my proprietary indicators for TradeStation. So I'm going to jump over to TradeStation now, and I can pull up SGRY, which was a stock that was a good day trader on the past week here. And you'll notice that there are lines drawn on this chart. There is something called an action candle indicator, which is a little bit hard to see, but this particular candle here had the action candle on it. And this was a great mover. The buy signal came to us at $7.36. It closed the end of the day at $9.60, so it made a pretty significant jump through the day. There you can see also we can apply those indicators to a longer term chart. This is a 13-minute chart, and you can probably just barely see it, but there is a little pink dot on that chart. and that is our action candle indicator. And my students get this indicator for their own use in TradeStation if they decide to use TradeStation. You may not want to use TradeStation. You may want to use Active Live. So let me show you how that looks. So Active Live is a service where you will watch my analysis screen as it happens. And so what happens every 5 minutes is we do a scan in TradeStation, grabs the appropriate symbols, it pastes them into this window, which is what you are watching, and it will spit out all of the stocks that are making 2-minute action candles as they happen. Now, why would we want to find what we call action candles? Well, they are the signal, the trigger that stock is likely to make a strong directional move. And what you are watching by webinar, just like you are watching this webinar today, is with Active Live, you are watching a webinar of this screen running during the trading day. And it tells us by time which stocks are making action candles. And I talked about what action candles are in my day trading video, so I encourage you to go watch that. It's on the Stockscores YouTube channel. I won't go into the details of it just to keep today's presentation a reasonable length. But essentially what's happening here is, for example, ACAD made an action candle at 1:28 in the afternoon, and by the end of the day, it closed at 6.88 RR. What is RR? It is reward for risk. And so if you risk $100, this trade would be making you about $680 from 1:28 in the afternoon Eastern time until the close. All right, and so we track it all here. This is the RR column. This is the maximum reward for risk. This is the drawdown. The algorithm calculates your position size for $100 of risk, the number of shares to buy, tells it all to you. It's all automated. Very, very cool thing that we spent a few years building. All right, so moving along, that's Active Live and how that screen looks. Let's talk a little bit about the courses. So I teach 2 courses. One is called the Investor Course, and that is, as the name would imply, appropriate for people who want to make longer term trades. They don't want to sit in front of their screen and day trade or swing trade. They want to focus on those longer term trades. Perhaps they are willing to devote 15 minutes a day or maybe only 15 minutes a week to their process. You would use the Investor Course. So with the Investor Course, you get access to those foundation lessons that I showed you in the Stockscores Education Center. You get access to the investor strategies for the market scanner. You get access to the lessons that teach you the strategies. You get email support from me as long as I'm alive and kicking and Stockscores is around. And again, we've been around for 20 years. Well, I've been around for 49 years, but the Stockscores website has been up for 20 years. And I still support people that took my course, my very first course, 20 years ago. If you want to continue to use the tools, which is primarily the market scan tool, after 6 months, you will have to pay an annual fee of $300. That annual fee is what pays for our data feeds, keeps the website up and running. It really just covers costs. It's not really a profit center or anything like that for us. It is access to the charting and the market scanning tool and that sort of thing, and that is $300 per year. Now the process, if you are an investor, is you first do the market scan, which is what I showed you. When you run the market scan, you're going to get a list of stocks. You inspect those charts for the right pattern, which I teach you to look for. Once you find the right pattern, you calculate your position size using the risk management process that I teach you. You then enter the trade. You put your trades into either our simulator or into a watch list so you can keep an eye on them. Maybe once a week you're checking your stocks, once a day, depending on the strategy. You might be checking your stocks and you're essentially monitoring them for an exit signal. When you get an exit signal, you sell. Sometimes you sell the next day. Sometimes you're only selling on the end of the week. Again, depends upon the strategy. And then I think it's a good idea to journal your trades. You can do that in an Excel spreadsheet or in a Word document or just on paper, just write it out. But it's a good idea to say why you bought, how much you bought, why you sold, how much you made, the lessons you may have learned from that investment, that trade. It's all good to put that in a book because you'll learn something from it. Every trade teaches us a lesson, so you may as well try to track that. Now, the other option for the courses that we offer is the Active Trader course. The Active Trader course gives you everything that's in the investor course, but you also get access to the Active Trader strategies and the Active Trader market scans and the indicators for TradeStation. And it makes you eligible for the Active Live service. I don't want to have a lot of people in the Active Live webinar every day because it takes away the opportunity if we have too many people doing it. And so in order to be eligible for Active Live, you have to do the Active Trader course. Now you can do the Active Trader course tomorrow and you can come into Active Live on Monday. That's up to you. Active Live is a great way to learn. It's nothing like watching what actually happens in the market, and I talk a lot through the day, so you'll hear my commentary, my advice on whether we should be buying stocks, short selling stocks. Sometimes we should be doing nothing. And so I talk you through the day, and once you've gone through all of the material on in the Education Center, learned your lessons, then it's just a great way to learn, to watch Active Live and practice that way. I don't recommend that you start trading for real with real money on your first day in Active Live. Give it time. Make sure that you take time to learn. I don't do things the normal way. I think that's why it works. I do things in a very unique way. It's not complicated, but it does take some time to learn because it's not necessarily intuitive. And so I really want to emphasize that everyone should take some time to learn, understand how I do things, at least a few days of watching before you start doing actual trades with Active Live. So the process when I am, and I'll do this for day trading, it's a little bit different for swing trading, but when I'm day trading, I am starting off by assessing the overall market. So I want to be buying stocks or short selling stocks? Most days, most of the time, we're focused on buying. When we have a stock market correction like we've had, then we do a lot more short selling because short selling is how you make money from the market going down. So we assess that first, and then we watch the Active Live service or TradeStation for action candles. When we get one, we take a look at the chart. You'll need to have some kind of real-time charting program on your computer, and so your broker may offer it. I use Interactive Brokers. They have real-time charts available to their clients, and so the broker that you use, you should check to see if they have real-time intraday charts. I like to use a 2-minute chart for my day trading. I also look at a 13-minute and daily chart. Once we have the right trade, then we do our risk management and position sizing. The algorithm in Active Live does a lot of that for you. It tells you how to size the position automated. We enter the trade, we monitor the trade, and when we get an exit signal, we exit the trade. And of course, I teach you how to know when to exit as well. And it's a good idea to journal your trades also. I keep a spreadsheet of every stock that makes action candles through the day. Since July, there have been 50,000 action candles on the buy side. Not all of those are valid buy signals because we do a couple more steps, but that's just the raw signal. There's a lot of them that happen every day. In a typical day, you might get anywhere from 50 to 300 action candles, and they're carrying out all day. And again, most of my students aren't trading 50 times. They are trading 3, 5, maybe 10 times a day, but we're putting high probability opportunities, stocks that can really make big moves, in front of you with this very powerful tool that we've created in Active Live and the indicators that I've made for TradeStation. So what is Active Live? Well, again, you can watch me and listen to me as I run my analysis process. It's all in real time. It's a live webinar. It's all automated. I actually don't do much of the work anymore. When I first started doing it, I was doing all the work, but nowadays we've automated it. The computer can do it faster than I can. And so I talk a little bit in the morning and at the end of the day, a few times throughout the middle of the day as well. And I'm there to help you, guide you through the trading day. I wish that I had someone to teach me this way when I was trading. It wouldn't have taken me 8 years to learn if I had. But again, Active Live is only available to active trader members of Stockscores. So how does Active Live look? Well, I kind of showed you already, but this is sort of a little video that I did recently of what's running. On the left side of the screen is our swing trade alerts. The middle of the screen is our buying alerts. And the right side of the screen is our short sell alerts. Now, we don't necessarily short all the time. We don't necessarily buy all of the time. It depends on what the market is doing. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the S&P 500 chart, because that helps us to determine whether we should be buying or short selling. You can maybe just heard a little voice there. It actually announces when there is a new buy signal or short sell signal. And so you don't have to watch the screen really closely. Many of my students are doing other things and they just wait for the bell. We have a little bell that rings when there is a new alert, so it's quite convenient. Now, I am complementing my normal online trading or training with some live online training. So I'm going to do live classes, much like I'm doing today. I'm going to do an in-depth series of classes that will teach you the theory. My main purpose for this is to help you through the procrastination that everyone has. This makes you learn it. I will teach you for an hour and a half on Tuesday, April 28th, and an hour and a half on Thursday, April 30th, and we will focus on theory, how to read chart patterns, how to do risk management, the things that you need to know in order to apply the strategies. The following week, for about an hour each night, we are going to practice applying the strategies. And so each night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for about an hour, we will run market scans. The first night, I'll do most of it. The second night, I'm going to get you to start trying to pick them. And by the third night, you should be starting to get the concepts of what we're looking for. So this is just real life, real market conditions. We're going to try to pick stocks. And many of the stocks that we pick end up doing well. And sometimes you can start to cover some of the cost of my courses just from the actual learning process. Now, for those who take the Active Trader course, I also give you a free month of the service. It's normally $195 per month, but you'll get a free month so that you can use it at any time to learn. I'm going to actually add on, because we're near the end of the month, anyone who buys the Active Trader course between now and the end of April, I will also give you access to Active Trader Live, just so you can watch it a little bit. Again, I'd rather you didn't start trading until you've gone through the material, but you can watch it. And so not only will you get one free month for down the road whenever you want to use it, but I'll also give you the rest of April. So anyone who registers tomorrow, today, whenever you decide to, I'll send you the access to that as well. And please remind me if you don't get it, that I'll give you that access. All right. So this special offer is something I do once or twice a year. And this particular offer expires Thursday, April 23rd at 11 p.m. Pacific time. If you sign up sooner, then you get access to Active Live sooner. If you're an investor, student, you will get access to the market scan tool sooner. But if you need a little bit of time to think about it, you have until Thursday, April 23rd next week. And that will give you that free overview class series, which will be Tuesday and Thursday for an hour and a half each night. And then we're going to do our market scanning Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, first week of May. And then the Active Trader Live, you can apply anytime you want. So if you want to use it in 2 months, if you want to use it in May, it's up to you. There's no time limit on that. Course pricing, all pricing is in Canadian dollars. It's the same price today that it was 10 years ago. I haven't changed it. $2,495 for the investor course. Active Trader course is $3,495. Remember, Active Trader includes all of the material in the investor course. If you took the investor course 3 years ago and you want to upgrade to the Active Trader course, you can do so. It's $1,250 to upgrade. And you can upgrade. It's a little bit hard to find, so I'm going to show you where to do that. In order to upgrade, you must first log into Stockscores, and of course you have to have done the investor course in the past, and then go to the Education Center. And when you're in the Education Center, if you go down to Active Trader, it'll show here where it says for me purchased, it will show here, I think upgrade or $1,250 or something like that. So click on that, and then you'll be able to actually do the upgrade. There will be a link there on that page. So I'm going to run a quick poll. As I've said at past webinars, I don't like to bug people. And so if you would like an email from me in the next couple of days with a little bit more information on these courses, please reply to this with a yes. And if you would not like to be bugged, then say no, and I will respect that. This is the last webinar in this series, and so if you have any questions for me, you can certainly email me. I'll put my email address up on screen in just a moment. And if you need some help in deciding which course is right for you, email me, tell me a little bit about your situation, tell me how much time you have to do this, what your interests are, and then I can guide you toward the right course. I don't want someone to take something that's not going to be appropriate for their situation. So I don't mind doing that at all. So I'll leave this poll up for another 10 or 15 seconds, and you can also put in some questions now. I'll try to answer a few questions before we wrap up. And maybe while we're letting this poll run. So one question is, the screen that shows action candles, is that Stockscores or TradeStation? So TradeStation will plot action candles. There is a way to scan the market in Stockscores for action candles. We do that by selecting in the market scan tool abnormal volume and abnormal price action, and that will give you action candles. It just doesn't actually put a little dot on the chart, but it's finding them just the same. Is it worth day trading if I can only spare the first 3 hours of the trading day? Yes, absolutely. Because the first part of the day is usually the most profitable part, and so you can do that. Is TradeStation only for trading US markets? Yes. Unfortunately, TradeStation does not cover Canadian markets. They do cover other markets, like some of the European markets, Asian markets, but they do not cover Canadian markets. It's a real mystery to me why they don't, but they don't, unfortunately. We can still trade the Canadian markets, but we use either Stockscores or some of the other tools that are out there. All right, another question, is using Scotia iTrade okay? Yes, I think Scotia iTrade is fine. Another question related to this, can you suggest an online broker for beginners? So if you are a beginner, I would favor TD Bank, and this is Canadian. TD Bank, Scotia's pretty good, Quest, Qtrade, they're all good. If you're more sophisticated, then Interactive Brokers is worth considering. That's who I use, but I wouldn't say it's easy to figure out. Their tech support isn't great, and so I don't like to direct people there because it can be a bit frustrating. But they have great features, don't get me wrong. I like them, but you'll pull your hair out a little bit. Do I use level 2 analysis for day trading? I do not. I think level 2 is an antiquated method. There's too many games that get played with high frequency trading and that kind of thing. And so I'm not a big fan of using level 2 anymore. 20 years ago, sure, but not so much anymore. What is the program I use for drawing lines? So when I draw lines on the chart, let me just show this to you here. When I draw lines on the chart, like this, that's a program called Zoom It. So just Google search Zoom It. And it's a program that's from Microsoft, and it's free. Download it, and it just allows you to draw on your screen. You can draw different colors, that kind of thing. Another one that I use is called Snagit. What is the difference between day trading and swing trading? So day trading, you close out your positions before the close of trade, and swing trading, you hold at least overnight. Is the free 1 month available to current active live members as well, or just new members? If you subscribed or bought my course in the last 2 years and you haven't used your free month, then it's available to you. Can you show us the real-time intraday charts and how it works? I would go look at my video on day trading, which I did on Thursday. It's on the YouTube channel, so go to YouTube, search for Stockscores, and then in that channel, one of the last 3 or 4 videos is called How to Day Trade Profitably. I talk in there about my intraday charts. Do I have a backup person if I get sick? Well, in terms of running active live, I don't necessarily have anyone to guide you through the day. I work sick or otherwise, but the websites I have, I affectionately call them my nerds, the computer people that keep it up and running. And for them, or that stuff is all kept up by other people. So if something happens to me, the website runs, the webinars, all that stuff. But in terms of actually the teacher, I'm the teacher. So I'm around, everything's recorded, but when it comes to active live, if I was to have COVID-19 and was in the hospital, I'd have to have somebody start it for me, which is no problem, but I wouldn't be there to talk you through the morning. I don't miss many days though. Actually, I don't miss any days for sickness. I miss a few days if I travel, and I always tell people about that before the start of the month. So there's lots of questions, and now it's getting a little hard to keep track of them all. So when you refer to level 2 trading, I immediately think of level 2 option trading, but I have the impression you mean something else. Yeah, it's not options. Level 2 is looking at the lineup of buyers and sellers. So there's a screen that you can get with real-time trading systems called a level 2 screen. And you have the people that are lined up to buy, and it'll show the number of shares that they want to buy, and people lined up to sell. And it's a way to gauge short-term supply and demand for the stock. The reason I don't use it anymore is because in the past you actually couldn't fake it, but nowadays the computer algorithms can put up fake bids and pull them before they ever get filled. And so I just don't believe that you get an accurate impression of what the supply and demand is for the stock. And that's why I don't use it anymore. It's just too many games get played with it. Do I mostly trade US or Canadian stocks? And if I only trade Canadian, is it worth the investor course? So I personally mostly day trade, and that's mostly US. I have lots of Canadian students, and if they want to invest, they mostly invest in Canadian stocks. And so if you want to be an investor and you want to focus on the Canadian market, we're certainly set up for that, and that's what lots of my students do. So someone said that they did a password retrieval and didn't get a response. So if you can email me, I'll put my email address up now. And then I'm going to come back to some of this other stuff. So there's my email address, tylerb@stockscores.com. Just email me and I'll try to help you with that. I will try to do the market analysis before I finish. However, each week I do a video on YouTube called my Market Minutes video, and that'll be up maybe today or tomorrow. And so I do that every week. You can get my market analysis every week. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then it'll be there. Now, some of these questions are a little bit more in depth, and so if I didn't answer your question, please email me. I don't mind answering them, but I don't want to confuse people with some of these more complex questions. Can my 17-year-old register for your courses? Yep. Yeah, I think my youngest student was probably 12, 13 years old. And my oldest daughter has taken my course, and she's 18, but she took it when she was 16, I think. All right, so let me just end things up, and then we're going to do a little bit of market analysis to end the presentation. But why would you take one of my courses? I guarantee you the mistakes you make will cost you more time and more money than what my course will. I've got 30 years of trading. I've been teaching for 20 years. There's just a lot of experience that comes with that, and you benefit from that. I believe, keep you out of making a lot of the mistakes, at least if you listen to me. And ultimately, trading to me is about freedom. You can work anywhere. You can do it anytime. It really is an awesome lifestyle. Some of you may know that a few years ago, I sort of took a year off, and I spent 6 months living in Maui, and I spent 6 months living in Whistler, and I couldn't do that if I had a normal job. And trading allows me to do that because all I need is my computer and an internet connection. I want to help you learn. I want to make trading easy for you and prosperous for you. But at the end of the day, no one cares more about your money than you. And that's why I also want to give you control. I want to give you the lessons that will help you to know when to sell losers and to manage your risk effectively and to find good opportunity. And this crash, as hard as it has been on the global economy and on our lifestyle, it really has presented great opportunity for traders and for investors. And I think that opportunity will continue for some time because there are so many good quality companies that are on sale right now. So it's all about avoiding the pain of big losses and pursuing profit. And I can help you do that. If you want to register, go to stockscores.com/learn. You can register all online. You just go to the Stockscores website, go to Trader Training, learn how to trade. There are videos on this page. There is more in-depth description of what trading is all about. And you can purchase the course right here. Just click on order and you'll get instant access and be able to start learning this afternoon if you want, and be ready for some of those upcoming online classes, which I'm going to do at the end of April and early in May. Again, there's my email address, and I really encourage everyone to subscribe to the Stockscores YouTube channel. I put up lots of free content on there, and yeah, great thing to do. Okay, I'm going to do some market analysis for you just to give you a sense of what I see in the market. And this is something I'm going to cover in today's or this weekend's Market Minutes video. But let's just sort of look at where we've come. And so the market was in a nice upward trend. We broke the upward trend late in February. That was our signal to sell because we broke the upward trend line. And of course, we had a fairly dramatic sell-off. You don't need me to tell you that. We then broke the downward trend line third week of March, and that was our first signal that the market was bottoming. Now, the more reliable signal that the market is bottoming, which I've talked about in many of my videos, was when the downward trend line was broken from a rising bottom. And so we did that 2 weeks ago. And so that was the next signal to be a buyer of stocks. So now what do I think happens next? Well, this right here priced in other words, the market realized that the earnings that most companies would have would be less. Obviously, if you own or if you're a cruise line, you're going to make less money. If you're an airline, you're going to make less money. If you operate retail stores like Best Buy, you're going to make less money. And so the market was pricing in those lower earnings when it dropped like that. The market always moves on what it learns. And the way that we make money in the market is from surprises, from things that the market doesn't expect. So let's think about what the market expects right now. The market expects that eventually things are going to go back to normal, or as normal as we can expect. And so here, the market was expecting that things were going to get worse. And here there was some panic. How bad are things going to be? We could see the number of COVID-19 cases increasing day by day. Well, now those cases are starting to stabilize, at least in certain parts of the world. And so now the market's starting to price in the expectation that things are getting better. And we still have priced in that things, while they may be getting better than what we thought a month ago, they are still not what we thought or expected 2 months ago. And so we still have ground to make up. And we're not going to get back to these levels until things are back to normal. But that takes time. So the market has priced in about a 50% improvement in the situation. Have we improved 50% yet? No, we have not. If you look at the numbers of cases and the number of deaths and that sort of thing, we have not improved 50%. But remember, the market prices in the future. It does not price in the past. So my expectation is we are going to continue to improve as long as the number of cases continues to decline, or at least the pace of new cases continues to decline. Now, what would cause that to change? If something happens that the market doesn't expect, if something happens that says, all of a sudden we're getting worse again, maybe the pace of cases starts to accelerate, well, then we could break this upward trend line. So I can draw a little upward trend line on here. If we break this upward trend line, I'm going to be concerned again. If we make a falling top, so here's a high here, if we were to make a falling top and break down from a falling top, I would be concerned. But for now, we are in an upward trend again. And so as long as we are in an upward trend, I would favor the buy side. If we break the upward trend line, then we'll get defensive. So that's my outlook for today. That could change on Monday. That could change on Wednesday. And that is why I do videos at least every week where I update you on that. And so all you have to do to follow my videos is go to YouTube, subscribe to my channel, click on the notifications bell, and that way you will get my updates by email anytime I upload a new video. All right, I've got a couple more questions. One question, do you do the CSE exchange, which is the Canadian Stock Exchange? We have charts for the Canadian Stock Exchange. We don't have it in the market scan tool, but you have to add a .cn to the symbol. So I'm trying to remember a symbol. Let's go lxx.cn. That'll get you Lexaria Bioscience, and there you can see the chart. So we don't calculate our stock scores on them yet, but we do at least have the charts. I think I've answered all the questions. Again, if I missed one, please email me, and I'm happy to answer that. Again, I'll put my email address up on the screen. If you want to register for the course, you can do that immediately. Go to the Stockscores website. If you have questions for me before you purchase one of my courses, email me at tylerb@stockscores.com. Hope that you found this valuable and informative. I'm going to wrap it up there, and hope to see you in one of my classes soon. Have a great rest of the weekend and trade well.